Folks, so I want to try just a little bit of an experiment on Meeden's hot press paper. So I've looked at the surface. It has a really nice surface and really looks and feels a lot like the Arch's hot press surface. And you know, if you're interested in it, I definitely enjoy using hot press paper for drawing. It's a fabulous drawing surface for pencil or charcoal. And definitely encourage you to try that. And Meeden would definitely be an inexpensive alternative to the Arch's hot press if you were wanting it just for drawing. But similar to my other little experiment that I did, I'm using some of my Daniel Smith ultramarine blue, for this French ultramarine actually, and just to kind of see how this paper likes to work. This is my Daniel Smith. Okay, you can see all of that movement. You know, just so typical. That dispersion that we expect to see in the French ultramarine is definitely happening, even on this lesser expensive paper. I'm going to get just some of the pigment by itself and come down a little bit more, just to kind of go right across the paper with just pigment. Lots of dispersion, but that's what this is what my Daniel Smith ultramarine likes to do. I'm seeing that the paper is definitely it's withholding. It's not allowing that pigment to really soak down into the paper. The pigment is wanting to sit up on top, and that kind of happens with all hot press papers. The surface, hot press, just like you might think, it has been pressed, okay, with heat, and it's sort of burnished, if you want to think of it that way. It's sort of sealed the top of the paper, the surface of the paper a little bit, so it is a little bit less absorbent, allowing colors to sit right up on top and not soaking down into the paper like you get to experience with cold press paper. But it is sitting there nicely, moving, doing some nice things, and not bad, okay, honestly. All right, so let's take a look at the Meeden. Okay, so I'm just gonna take some of the Meeden and just squirt a little bit there, right on the paper. All right, so let's see what we get. Have no idea. We're about to find out. All right, so just some clear water in here, getting the paper kind of wet with it a little bit, and let's make contact with that pigment and see what it does. Okay, it's trying to move. Yeah, it's trying to move. We got some of this action in the on the cold press paper, but again, the dispersion is not as dynamic. It's not as dramatic. It's not rushing around quite as much, and that doesn't necessarily mean that something is wrong with this pigment, but it does mean that the flow and the sense of movement that you can achieve with the pigment, that type of characteristic is a little bit absent with this. And again, we're just talking about the quality of the pigment. Okay, the amount of gum arabic is not there that probably should be. The amount of pigment that's there, but it just isn't. Okay, it's a lesser expensive pigment, but it's trying. But you can see on the hot press paper already, just look at the difference between the amount of movement in the with the Daniel Smith color, all that movement, compared to the Meeden. It's just a little lackluster. It's just not wanting to sort of take off very much. All right, let's just try sort of working with the Meeden just at full strength. I need a little bit of water. Yeah, I can see the way that it moves across the paper. Again, it's sort of sitting up on top of the paper, much like it did on the cold press. And again, I think it's just because of that, whatever the binders are that are in the pigment, they're going to sit up on top of the paper, not really just be absorbed. It's a different type of pigment, different type of fillers, and so they're just going to behave differently. Color wise, we've still got some really nice brilliant color with everything, but it's those tiny little characteristics that start to really define, those quality passages in your paintings. When you need those pigments to really shine and provide you with all of those wonderful characteristics. Let's see, let me move this out of the way. Let me hold this up so that you can see the granulation. This is, let me get this lined up just right if I can. Okay, so all of that you're seeing, that's Daniel Smith on the Meeden hot press paper. Look at all that granulation that is still showing up. And that's just because there's a lot of pigment. Okay, the Daniel Smith is loaded with pigment, and it's going to give you all those pigment qualities. Let's look at the Meeden. You can see the darker streak. Very little granulation, just not as much, and it's just all to do with the quality of the pigment. The color is nice, but we are missing some granulation, and it did not like to disperse very much on this hot press paper. It just kind of didn't want to participate in that activity, so to speak. So again, with the hot press, I really enjoyed using my quality color on the hot press. The Meeden did not perform as well as I hoped it would. It does a lot better job on the cold press. The texture of the paper allows it to kind of have a little bit more dynamic quality, even as a lesser color. The hot press paper, it really kind of it exposes the quality of the pigment, okay, because it is a tougher surface. It's a harder surface, smoother, less absorbent by default. And so if you've got a pigment that already is not wanting to go down into the paper, and then you put it on hot press, you've compounded it, okay. But I do like the way that that the Daniel Smith is performing on the hot press. It's giving me much the same effects that I would experience on just a regular Arches hot press. So I think, again, the paper for the win on Meeden, especially if you're looking for a cheaper alternative. And just know that you will develop different painting habits using Meeden compared to Arches. So just be prepared for that and experiment, have fun with it. And if you're interested in the Meeden paper, I've got a 10% off discount code that you can use when you order the Meeden paper or any of the Meeden products. It's in the video description. Take a look at that. Try the paper, see what you think. I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks for watching.